Welcome to today's edition of Sport SA Daily Diary. Today we're chatting to South African powerlifter and African record holder, Sasha Payne. How's it, Sash? How are you doing?
Well, thank you, and you, Adam?
Yeah, no, very good, thank you. How's lockdown treating you with all your training that you're needing to do?
Not so bad. We're very fortunate. We've got a whole bunch of equipment with us in the house, so we've made do.
Good to hear. Are you working out every day, and are you following the same gym program, or have you had to alter it at all?
We haven't had to alter it too much. We've actually been quite fortunate there. We decided now that we've got all the extra time, we'll add in an extra training session here or there, which is nice. Also, we get to sleep more, so we can recover a little bit more. So it's actually, training's intense at the moment. So I'm happy about that. It keeps me busy.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Sash, you've got quite a story. We'll get into your powerlifting, but powerlifting wasn't always on the cards for you. Take us back to the early days of Sasha at school. What sports were you playing there?
If I could play anything, I would. I would pick up a tennis racket or a hockey stick. I loved long distance running. I was pretty good at tennis. Anything that I could do, I would do. And yeah, but didn't always plan out that way.
And did you thrive at any particular sport at school, or were you sort of jack of all trades?
I think I focused on my tennis, mainly in my younger years, until I picked up hockey in grade 8, sort of just kept active. Can't say I was particularly competitive in anything, but I just liked to play.
And Sasha, you had an incident in your younger years that kind of changed your path and your direction. Tell us a bit about that.
In my grade 10 year, which was 2011, just before my 16th birthday, I was in a motorbike accident. And I had quite a severe fracture to my right leg, and I broke both bones in my right leg and lost 3 centimeters of bone. Yeah.
That's quite something. I mean, you say you lost 3 centimeters of bone. Obviously, through all the operations and stuff, they've managed to fix that. You don't sort of walk that way.
I still have a 17 millimeter difference, which is what they call within a normal range. So they're not going to go and surgically fix anything. But the first surgery, they did a bone graft using cow bone. And unfortunately, I rejected it. So the bones didn't heal. Then 3 months later, they went in and took some bone from my hip and tried again. And luckily then that fused, took awesome. And eventually 7 months after the accident, I started walking, which was cool. Got back to normal.
Back essentially for 7 months.
Yes, I was in a moon boot and in crutches. And that was December 2011, I started walking. The following year in September, they took out all the screws and the fittings. I had a plate about that long in the leg, and they took that all out. And on our December holiday, I went for a run, and I came home and I said to my family, listen, something's wrong. And a week later, we got back to South Africa, and I was in terrible pain. I just remember walking through the airport, these tiny little footsteps, because I couldn't put any weight on it. And the doctor told me that I had spontaneously refractured the same break.
Oh my goodness.
So it started again. So we went back into...
How did you refracture that? Out on a run?
Unfortunately, this whole time, and I think with me being so young and school and everything, I was very underweight. I had severe anorexia, very depressed, and my bones just weren't strong enough and weren't ready for it. So unfortunately, I wasn't nourishing myself correctly, and I paid the consequences.
And it got to quite a severe state, I believe, almost to a fact where your dad said, now this is time, you are going to start to eat again.
He sat me down on the Sunday night. He said to me, listen, if you don't put in the steps tomorrow on Monday and phone who I need to phone and set up psychiatrists, psychologists, nutritionists, whoever I need to see, and if I don't sort it out by that Friday, he will put me in Tara.
Sure, that's quite an ultimatum.
Quite a tough thing for a 17-year-old to hear, but it was definitely the right thing.
And then how did the leg recover? Did you go in for another operation?
Yes, so they originally put me in a cast for 6 weeks, hoping that everything would refuse and we could get on with it, but we weren't so lucky. So I went in for what they call an intermedullary nail. So they dislocate your knee and they take all the bone marrow out the center of your bone, and they put a long rod about that long down the center of the bone.
Oh, that's incredible. And is that still in there?
It's still in there. They took all the screws out a year after they did it. Yeah. In 2014 was my last surgery, and the rod will stay there for the rest of my life. I will never take it out.
So you must be an airport's nightmare.
It actually doesn't go off because it's titanium. So there's a bit of a loophole there.
Oh, lucky for that. And then, Sasha, once you sort of started to recover, you started to eat again, you became stronger. Did you try any sports specifically, or were you still having severe pain?
I was in severe pain for a long time. I had constant neuropathic pain for about 4 years, until about the beginning of last year. I battled with pain. But in the interim, between the two sort of breaks, I guess we could call them, in that time where I was okay and I could exercise, I did start picking up the running and that kind of thing. And with the whole anorexia, my brother came to me, my older brother, and he said to me, I don't want my sister to die, we have to do something. And we went to the gym, and that's when powerlifting started.
Powerlifting for a young girl who had been through a terrible accident, who'd been through anorexia to almost the end, was now going to become a powerlifter. Tell us a bit about that. How did that sort of come about? I
just think I had lost control over everything. There was nothing I could take care of. And this was the one thing I could do. I was told I would never walk without a limp, which I refused to believe, and I walk perfectly fine now. And I will never run again. It's still something I can't do. So I just accepted that the days of tennis and hockey and running were over, and I had to find something else. And I guess my brother just pushed me into this. It wasn't really something I chose. It just sort of happened.
And I mean, very quickly, you've climbed to extraordinary heights. In 2016, you represented your country for the first time at a junior level.
Yes, we went to Texas, and that was amazing. Yeah, it's come along quickly.
Tell us a bit about that experience in Texas.
It was in the middle of my third year exams, so I was a little bit stressed, and I had to get special permission to leave varsity and miss an exam. Quickly fly to Texas and compete there. It was absolutely incredible, just seeing all the nations, and everyone has a different thing. Everyone thinks it's so simple. I mean, all we do is squat, bench, and deadlift, but tiny little things like where your hands are or how you hold the bench and that kind of thing makes all the difference. So I think learning everybody's different style, and every country has a different style. So that was very interesting.
And then you followed that up in 2017 at the Commonwealth Powerlifting Games in South Africa. 2018, the Equipped World Junior Champs. And then you are now a senior South African representative at powerlifting, and you're going to the African Powerlifting Champs in October.
Yes, well, we're hoping.
Well, yeah, lockdown permitting.
Yes, it's in South Africa, so that's exciting. It was here last year, and it's such a fun competition, just to see what Africa is doing and see people from Cameroon and all over the continent come and join us, which is really awesome.
And Sash, how do you compete against the rest of the African countries?
Last year at African Champs, I became Open African Champ, so I'm the best in my category and in my age group on the continent.
And is that in all three disciplines?
In all three disciplines, yes.
So in powerlifting, do they take your average score or your score from each discipline and add it together to get that overall champion?
So at World Championships, you get 4 medals. You get one for the squat, one for the bench, one for the deadlift, and one for total, depending on who did what.
And tell us, what are you lifting in the different categories?
My best squat is 130. So we're going to see after this lockdown, because now we're squatting 4 times a week. So if that doesn't go up, I'm going to be very disappointed. So I'm hoping for 150 by the end of the year.
Sure.
Bench press, my best is 77.5 kilos in competition. And I've done 80 at the gym. So let's see, a 90, 85. Bench takes a long time. So I'll be happy with an 85. And deadlift, my best was 157.5 in competition. And we're going to push that one. I'd like to see where we can get it. We've completely changed my technique. So we'll see what happens there.
That must be close to 4 times your weight.
I compete in the under 57 kilo class. So
sure, that's
when
incredible.
I pull it 200, I'll be happy. That's the end goal.
And what is the journey for Sasha? Where do you see yourself going? Is the Olympics a dream? What is on the cards for you?
Well, unfortunately for us, powerlifting is not an Olympic discipline. So if I could go, I would, but I can't do weightlifting, so that won't happen. But World Championships is here in South Africa next year, and that's my goal. I'm full speed ahead for that. But also I think the most important thing is the sport has made me pain-free. It's given me a lot of stiffness and a lot of other pains, but for all my recovery and bone density and my leg and that kind of thing, it's completely fixed everything. So just continuing on that journey and not letting something that happened nearly 10 years ago impact on my life.
And Sasha, is there a big difference between powerlifting and weightlifting?
Yes. So with powerlifting, we do squat, bench, and deadlift. And you get 3 attempts at each. So you'll start on your lightest weight and move your way up. And with weightlifting, they do snatch and clean and jerk and all the overhead stuff. We don't throw bars over our heads because we're the same. So weightlifting is fast, explosive strength, and powerlifting is slow, brute strength.
And does the powerlifting, the people that manage powerlifting across the world, are they looking at trying to get that into the Olympics as an Olympic sport?
It has been sort of a bid for the last, as long as I can remember. So we'll see what happens, but it is very similar to weightlifting. It's different, but it's still lifting weights, I suppose. So they're not too happy about how similar they are.
Okay. And Sasha, I mean, you've had an incredible journey, from being on the brink of death almost, to being a South African champion, to lifting unbelievable weights. If you had to give advice to a young girl who maybe had the thoughts of powerlifting as a career, what would you suggest for them?
I would say just start slow, and obviously the most important thing is find a coach and find a coach that works for you. So I'm very fortunate with my coach. He really pushes me the utmost and makes sure that not only as an athlete but as a person I'm doing okay, and nutrition's on point and all that. So find a coach that's going to help you and actually benefit you. And don't be scared. I think a lot of girls have this idea in their heads that they're going to start lifting weights and they're going to have these muscles coming out of everywhere, but I'm tiny and it just makes you strong. It doesn't make you big. We'll just have the best body around, which is the plus side. And I think my life motto is one day at a time. Okay. Everything you do it the best you can today. Tomorrow you do it the best you can then, and we just keep going.
Well, that's a great motto to live by, and I suppose one you've learned from your many lessons and tattooed right on the arm, so you never forget. Has there been any person specifically that's been your role model or sort of got you to where you are?
I think obviously my family pulled me through this, and it was something that nearly broke all of us. It was a very difficult time for us. And I think just their characters, my mom, my dad, and my brother, they all bring something different to the party. And I think all of us, we just push and push and push and do our very best. And I think they are the utmost, most important people in my life, as well as my coach. He always says every day we're doing something different, and don't question it. I have a plan. Just those people that get me through the day.
Are there times where you want to throw your weights at him?
Yes, he's also my boyfriend, which is super difficult. Some days, but I know better. You just have to listen and keep quiet.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Sasha, it's been brilliant chatting to you. Thanks so much for joining us on Sport SA Daily Diary. Good luck with the rest of the lockdown and your training, and good luck with the World Champs next year.
Thank you so much.
Well, top step, a realistic goal?
We'll see. I'm aiming.
We'll certainly be holding thumbs for you.
Let's see. Thank you, Adam.
Good luck with that. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Join us again for tomorrow's edition of Sport SA Daily Diary, where we'll be chatting to TV presenter and personality Robert Marawa.